Hello, my name is Joe Ellis, and I am a really big Monkey Island fan. I was really excited recently by the news that Tim Schafer and Double Fine, along with Ron Gilbert, apparently also are going to be working on a graphic adventure, classic graphic adventure on Kickstarter. They've raised a lot of money already, and it just got me thinking about this game. I love all the LucasArts adventures, but this is definitely my favorite by far. I see a lot of people argue for Monkey Island 2. A lot of people argue for Day of the Tentacle and Grim Fandango, and I love all three of those games. Um, but I don't think any of them come close to The Secret of Monkey Island. I think it's the best. And so I wanted to kind of make a video where I play through it and kind of give commentary on the game. Not necessarily like inside info commentary. You can find some notes about that on Ron Gilbert's blog site from when he played through it recently. But just of why I think it's such a great game, and why I think when Tim and his team are making this new game, they should pay attention to the things that make The Secret of Monkey Island great, because the things that are emphasized and put in this game the most are what really makes an adventure game great. A lot of it has to do with simplicity. The puzzles are not hard. This is an easy game, actually. Some of the puzzles take some time to figure out, but you will figure them out. You're not going to bang your head against the wall. There's a lot of extra characters who don't matter, but they're there for atmosphere, and you can have conversations with this lookout, and all kinds of conversations with him, and he even appears in a cutscene, but there's no puzzle utility with him. And maybe he can give you a clue here or there, and there's so many characters like that, and that's so great. The third thing that's big in this game is just the plot. The plot is simple, but it's filled out by while you're playing the game. You really feel like you are Guybrush in this game. One reason is that Guybrush is very much somebody you have no background info for, and isn't that rare in a game these days? You would think that it would be a matter of filling out a character with a lot of background info to make you care about him, but you identify with Guybrush because you're both in the same boat. You come and you have no idea. All you know is Guybrush comes, he wants to be a pirate, no details. You don't know where Guybrush came from or anything. And Guybrush is such a plain character in a sense that you really don't find any other characters asking about him or where he comes from, so you never even worry about it. You never think about it, and so you're actually ironically able to identify with him more. Now, like I said, the storytelling a lot is in the games, even though Ron Gilbert sort of invented cutscenes, which I don't know if that's totally true, but if you look at this post, for example, you see something about Governor Marley, and we'll see more of this when we go into the Scum Bar, that there's lots of story in this game, but it's really in the gameplay. It's not just from them guiding you around, so you feel like you're really experiencing it. Alright, let's go ahead and go into the Scum Bar. By the way, sorry I don't have any music. I have the Monkey Island or Monkey Madness CD, but that's so old and scratched up at before I was able to rip the songs from it, it got too scratched up. So sorry about that. It has great music. The game has great music, obviously by Michael Land. So anyway, like I was saying about the plot. So here once again we have this bar full of people. A lot of adventure games are very they feel like ghost towns, their settings, and that's just, I don't know, it's kind of lame, but here we see where lots of people are gathered, and you can even talk to lots of them. Even if there's no real gameplay purpose, they give you atmosphere, and besides that, they kind of give you a sense of the story around you playing it. It really draws you in. As simple as the story is, as few background details there are, it actually draws you in more. And even that there's, TM symbols on Melee Island and things like that, you're still really and it's funny, of course, and it's parody, but it actually draws you in a lot more than a lot of games that that really try to be a serious game. like The Dig or like a lot of Sierra games or whatnot. This game actually draws you in more. Here is this guy telling us about the governor. It's really... Let me ask him. So it's just filling out story, but you could skip this if you wanted, and probably when you replay this game, you skip a lot of these things and you forget what a great sense of atmosphere there is in this game. So let's skip through a lot of little of this here, though. He still sails. Of course, that he's going to get this in. He still sails between here and Monkey Island. Alright, there's some good jokes in there, but I won't go through them. But that's a fun conversation. Alright, and you can talk to, of course, this guy and a dog, so there's all kinds of characters to talk to, no need. Now here's something interesting. So the Lookout and Mancomb Seepgood both told us to look for the important-looking pirates. Now in a regular adventure game, that might actually be a joke. Alright, not might be a joke, but I mean it would be a puzzle. It would be a puzzle, not a puzzle, but you go in and you're not sure what to do and you have to figure it out, and it just feels like something you have to figure out. Here is almost a parody of that, in that they actually make, they define them as the important-looking pirates, so it's obvious what to do. So these are the guys who are going to set us up on our quest, and there's another problem with adventure games that Ron and Tim and all of them need to avoid. Is having some sequence where you're just not sure what the heck you're supposed to do. And Tim, as much as I love Grim Fandango, and it's probably my second favorite game, I really never liked how I had to figure out to go in and get that message tube to get the client. There was just a little clue given to it, but nothing like this. There's nothing wrong with making it really obvious for early on in the game, especially for a first-time adventure gamer, which hopefully this draws a lot of. So these guys tell you, do these 3 things exactly. It's even obvious that it's non-linear, obvious, and you can ask about each one. They'll give you details. No reason to go into that this time. But that's definitely a positive thing, and of course, tons of adventure games have followed this formula, so Monkey Island was very influential in the way it set this up. Alright, once again, you can get a lot of details about exactly what to do with each quest from those guys, and there's also some great jokes in that conversation. These guys, when they made this game, Ron and Tim and Dave, they just did a lot of joke writing that really had nothing to do with the game, and I love that. Alright, so we just solved our first puzzle. We're not allowed into this kitchen until the cook leaves, and I love that puzzle. It's a really easy puzzle, of course, but it's so stressful the first time you play the game, because you really try to sneak in there fast, and you're not sure if the cook is going to come back. Of course, he won't come back as long as I'm in here. Hopefully, you know the adventure game rule that I tell anybody who I buy an adventure game for, to pick up everything you can. So you pick up both of those and go out here and try to pick this up. But that's a great thing about Monkey Island, is that and Monkey Island 2 isn't even as good. It does a lot of good stuff, but it's not does as many of these puzzles, where it's not just picking something up, using items together, and trolling through dialogue until you get the response you want. It's they got me. There's just a puzzle, and it's simple and easy, but a puzzle where you wait for the cook to leave and then you walk in, or the puzzle where you walk to the end of the dock in order to get rid of this bird. So those are the kind of puzzles that are all over Monkey Island, and I would really encourage any people thinking about making adventure games to use those kinds of puzzles instead of just trying to use all your different items together or on objects in the room in order to get by, or just talking to people until you figure it out. There's lots of puzzles like that, getting past the cook, getting that fish, where it's something that you really do. That's something else that immerses you, and that you don't feel like you're just trying to think through what the designer wanted you to do, but you're just doing something that makes sense. Alright, so we got a cutscene here, and I've read a lot on the internet that Ron Gilbert invented cutscenes. This is a good cutscene. It cuts away. You actually see a conversation that's happening, a meanwhile. It even said meanwhile at the beginning, and I really like that idea of you're just seeing what's going on somewhere else. Games now, cutscenes are kind of more, they progress the story with the character, they kind of take you away. So once again, detaching you from the character. And I know Monkey Island is a comedy, and it's parody to a point, but it does do a better job of identifying you with the main character, of immersing you in the story, even though the story is extremely simple. It does a better job because of little details like this, where a cutscene is a meanwhile cutscene. It's not where Guybrush you lose control of Guybrush and he goes and does something, and that then suddenly you're watching a TV show instead of playing a game. So this is what Ron Gilbert, I'm not sure, but I think it's what he's talking about when he talks about telling a story in a game. So LeChuck is, I don't know why they're concerned about Guybrush at this point. He's hardly showed up. I don't know if it's ever really explained. Maybe LeChuck sensed it would be his arch nemesis somehow. So we're gonna head back here. We could go to the town, which, by the way, note, you read this poster, you see things forming, and you see, we look at the poster again, it says something different. He's attracted to Governor Marley. And so, like I said, the story is in the game, it's in the things you do and the things that you make Guybrush do. So if we head back up here, instead of going to the town, we'll go here and get some stuff done, especially at the clearing, since we already have our helmet for these guys. This is kind of a silly scene. If you go on to Ron Gilbert's notes on his blog about when he played through this game, he said that he wanted to make this a big interactive thing, and he didn't. And when I was a kid, I always wished that I could explore this more, or go back and talk to these guys some more. I'm going to skip through a lot of their conversation here. So this is just a really simple but a fun thing, and Monkey Island is filled with things where the characterization and of the characters or of the rooms, of the environments, is much bigger than the puzzle of it. And we think that these adventure games are all about puzzle, but I'm convinced that they're not. That they're really about story and characters and atmosphere and fun. And so this is a good example. This is such a memorable scene, but you hardly do anything. Ask what they'll pay me. You get some money. They're not going to make it hard to get money or something that you have to manage in this game. That would be so lame. You want to focus on the story, not on managing money. Of course, if this is a pretty easy puzzle to figure out, you give the pot to them. It's probably the first thing you would have guessed. So the cool thing about that is that later in the game you use a pot again to shoot yourself out of a cannon. That's something that Monkey Island 2 did even more amazingly, where you do the voodoo doll in the first part, and then you do a voodoo doll again using the same recipe at the end of the game. Monkey Island 3 even does that with the with the headache solution, the remedy to the what's it called? But that's really a great thing, and I would really recommend any adventure game designer to definitely employ that and do something where you do something early on, and it's kind of a simpler puzzle, and they kind of guide you along, and then later near the end you see, I'm supposed to do this again. I can just do it the same way. What a cool way to help somebody solve a more difficult puzzle. I mean, obviously it's a lot more robust in Monkey Island 2 with the voodoo doll than just shooting yourself out of a cannon, but it still has that same feel. And this is, the first game to really do that. Not a lot of games do that. It's a really smart thing. I was really pleased that the guys who designed Monkey Island 3 caught on to that and employed it in their game, because it's very smart game design. Alright, we will head to the fork. We can't go too deep, but we can at least go one back and get our plants. If you talk to the... it's tough to get past the governor's dogs, but if you talk to the important-looking pirates about it, they'll give you a tip to maybe drug the dogs. When you talk to Otis, the prisoner, he tells you that it's against the law to pick these flowers. I can't remember if he if he says it's poisonous or something, but we'll find that out soon enough. Alright, so we head into town, and just like the Scum Bar, it's not a ghost town. There's random people walking around. None of them matter. This guy does matter, and all you do is buy a map from him. That's all it is, and all you gotta do is have money. Once again, his characterization really outlasts his puzzle. He's much more memorable than just... I guess I said the wrong thing. It's only you again. Let's see. I just want a map. So this guy, he's a con man, of course. But we see a little more story there. That ugly sheriff might be around here. So we start to hear about them. It's not cutscenes, man. It's much bigger than that. Story's got to be embedded in here. You don't want characters to feel like puzzles to solve. You want them to feel like real characters. Alright, of course it's pretty funny. You look at these directions, and they're dancing lessons. It's funny because I got this game when I was a little kid, like 6 years old, and I actually didn't figure out this puzzle. I would always just wander around in the forest until I found the treasure. It wasn't until later that I saw that those directions can actually, help you find it. I'm not going to talk to the men of low moral fiber. You don't have to. But once again, there's a set of characters that are just there for atmosphere, just there to immerse you. And that is so cool to me. It really makes the game not feel like a bunch of puzzles to solve. It makes it feel a lot bigger. The same is true once again here. And I know going through this game I'm just going to sound like a repeating record, but all you do here is get a chicken. And there's not even a puzzle to solve. You just pick it up. It is kind of annoying that there's all this other stuff. I mean, there's some jokes where you look at them, but like especially with this guy. But overall, it is kind of annoying that there's all this stuff you have to try to pick up just to make sure you can't. But then there's this character who is pure story, no puzzles. And I love, of course, that's a little trick. I love how you don't actually talk. And let's see. So we will go ahead and hear from her, because this is an important part of the game, You could totally skip by this lady. But to me, this person is really important. And it's such a memorable part of the game. Like I said, I was a little kid when I got this, so all of this was so amazing to me. And it was like, oh man, what's going to happen? I just had no idea. I never played a game like this before. Sorry, I'm skipping through a little fast here, but that's kind of what I have to say about this, so she'll disappear. Very cool. So that's all story, other than getting the chicken. When I first got this game, of course, it was just text instead of pictures, so a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle, I didn't quite understand what that meant. Made getting to Meat Hook's place a little bit tougher of an experience. Alright, so let's go ahead and just head straight to the governor's mansion. And isn't that cool? This was the first, this was actually the first LucasArts game with scalable guys. Of course, you, Guybrush doesn't want to go near these, but, you can just give them the meat and then they'll keep chasing after you. Probably most people do that the first time. But it's still not a hard puzzle because you're like, well, that kind of worked, but maybe it needs something else. So it's a very cool puzzle in and of itself. Of course, we have this note, they're just sleeping, don't worry. It's very funny. And here we go. So this is the big cut scene. This is the one spot where you lose control of Guybrush. Ron Gilbert said in his notes on his blog that originally they wanted to do some things with some puzzles, but then they felt like this should be a reward for your hard work, for just a fun scene. I love how it gets that face. And so that it is so much fun, and it's so memorable. I'd compare it really to the singing scene in Monkey Island 3. But this is even more fun and this was a very original scene. Like I was saying, unfortunately we haven't seen Fester Shinetop before. We're gonna run into him here soon, or are we? Oh, that's funny. Did we not? Did he walk in there? Maybe I'm just dumb. But usually, a lot of times you'll go in the alleyway first, and you'll meet Fester in advance of this scene, which is really LeChuck, of course. But in this case, we haven't. But that scene where you meet Fester is another important storytelling thing. There's no puzzle. There's not even clues for puzzles. It's a game about telling a story. So they really make that balance between you're doing stuff, you're in control, and the story comes that way. And yet the puzzles aren't too hard either. So use gopher repellent with gopher. Very clever. Some anachronisms. Of course, this game is famous for anachronisms. Gopher repellent and an aerosol spray can would obviously be one of them. There's a lot more as Monkey Island 2 goes on. They seem to get more and more until the end of that game, where you seem to be in some sort of more modern day place. But of course it's confusing. If they raise enough money with this Kickstarter campaign, I would love them to just license the Monkey Island franchise, and the game they make could be Monkey Island 3, the true Monkey Island 3. Since Ron is now on staff there, that would be great. Alright, so we got the he only needs a file to get the idol. So isn't that great? This puzzle, getting the idol really comes in stages. It is not a one thing puzzle, but you make progress. You make progress by poisoning the dogs. You get past them, then you see that scene, and now you need a file, so now you've made more progress. It's very cool. More puzzles need to do that. You have to reward players for doing things. You can't have them do 10 things and not reward them until after that. We haven't talked to Otis yet. We need to talk to him real quick. Of course, he has the file we need. And not to mention halitosis. Like I said, when I got this game as a little kid, so I had no idea what that even meant. Alright, so we need some breath mints if we're going to talk to him. I love that the puzzle of talking to him isn't something too complicated. Where do I get a breath mints? Oh, maybe at the store. And yeah, of course. So it's good to have some puzzles where things just make sense to a point. While we're here, I'm going to pick up the shovel and the sword as well. That's what we're going to need. And you would know this by talking to the important looking pirates, that's what you're going to need. I've seen a lot of people play and they couldn't see that sword, so maybe they could have positioned that sword a little better. This guy, once again, a character who's so much more than a puzzle and has so much personality. Adventure games, number one, are about characters, in my opinion, period. Alright, so why don't we buy all this stuff? We'll just go through the quickest pass here. There's, just like this guy, there's some funny jokes in here that we'll miss. Some of them we'll see, because this guy's quite the smart aleck. Alright, do you have files? Do you mean hanging files or nail files? The metal kind you open locks with. Alright. So, let's head back and talk to Otis. Man, when you really just pare this down to puzzles, they are so simple. They are so easy. I mean, I beat this game as a little kid, and it's fine. I still play through it multiple times per year. I love the game. People who I show it to still love it. It doesn't have to be hard to be good. It's about the characters first. That would really be my one complaint against Day of the Tentacle. It has a lot of this great stuff, but some of the puzzles are in a sense, you need it because they're very cool how they work through time, but they're too hard. In this game, I'll definitely appreciate it better. Alright, so if you talk to him, he'll tell you about the rats and stuff, so it's not hard to figure out you want to give him that. And the cake, of course, it's kind of an old trope of having the way to get out of the jail and the cake that you give him, so... In fact, if you look at the cake, Guybrush tells you how heavy it is, so they couldn't really make it any more obvious. Alright, let's head back to the mansion. This is so exciting the first time you play it. It's not... too many games just don't reward you enough. They really reward you a lot in Monkey Island. You really have this exciting feeling of, oh, I'm going to get the idol. I've got the file. And you get another scene like this, so it's a lot of fun. Use manual style with shredder. Stylish confetti. That's a nice pun. Good job, guys. Heavily armed clown. You just love the fact that this is all done in the background, especially back then where they didn't have the kind of memory or anything to be able to put this. This game came on 4 floppy disks for me on my just IBM computer with MS-DOS. We did have a hard drive, so that was nice. You just installed it. And I'll be honest, totally honest with you guys, my uncle actually gave this to me. I didn't even realize it was his own copy. I mean, he bought it, and then he copied it for us. It was a pirated copy. We had the Dial-A-Pirate, and he had photocopied, each combination. So every time I played the game, I had to look through that, this big black and white stack of pirate heads to figure out how to play. When I bought Grim Fandango, then I got it legally. So I didn't even know it was illegal as a kid. But I'm definitely grateful for my uncle for giving it to me nonetheless. And definitely am supporting their new game too. So, alright, so Shine Top is not happy about this. Got a little Indiana Jones lines, very nice. Then the governor shows up. First time you see her. So she is against Fester. There's some clues even before you see that Fester is LeChuck, that he is LeChuck, which is cool. He's new. Yeah, see, they even say a little there. Governor Elaine Marley. Alright, so you have no chance of talking here, but she's still obviously attracted to you for somehow. And yet you do see, oh yeah, you are accomplishing much. You've done more than a lot of people do. Your face is too sweet. Oh, isn't that nice? They do so much more with so little in these old games. So. Not to sound old, but... Alright, so you're pretty obviously in love with her. It's obvious that that's now a big part of the plot. It's very simple. Once again, there's not a lot of development or anything. Although Elaine is far from any sort of stereotype, so that's a very cool thing. But we keep it simple. Okay, you're becoming a pirate. Oh, but now there's something else. Now you really like this governor, and you're attracted to her. So now you run into a little uh-oh moment. It's funny because in the original game, he had that text inventory, and I was a kid, I wasn't really sure what an idol was, and I saw that, I was like, what in the world? Alright, and here we go, a little more clues to the story, okay, not leading you by the nose, but just, my plans for the governor are far too important. That's pretty good stuff. Alright, so, yeah, I love this. Is such a joke. They have all the sharp implements that you could cut the rope with. But it's the easiest puzzle you could ever do. Of course, if you stay down here for long enough, there'll be guys... they'll even emphasize that more because there'll be guys walking by who say, hey, I just killed somebody, and, I have this knife. What should I do? Oh, I should just throw it in here. No, well, I could find it. Yeah, you're right, I might need it. And so you're like, oh. But I think it'd be amazing too. If you actually needed all those clues, I think it's more of a funny thing. That itself is kind of, I think, probably a parody of adventure games where it's like, why wouldn't you just do the easy thing, but instead you have to come up with some convoluted puzzle solution? Um, and I would see that as kind of a parody of that. So Monkey Island really has a sharp wit in those subtle ways, where oh no, ignore that stuff, just pick up the stupid idol. It's great. All right, now this is of course kind of cheesy, tongue-in-cheek, and Love Muffin, Sugar Boots, Honey Pumpkin, Plunder Bunny is the best one, of course. Kudos to whichever one of you guys came up with that particular one. Once again, me as a kid, I don't want you to be preoccupied. I had no idea what that was supposed to mean. But this is actually a good game for kids, for a smart kid. Um, okay, so we have finished a trial, and we have this extra, the story is built on itself, where we have the governor now that we are interested in. Let's go ahead and head to the treasure hunt. This is good stuff. This is our next big puzzle. That is not an inventory slash dialogue puzzle. Adventure games need more of these for sure. You're just gonna look at these directions, which don't look like a normal map, but they really are. Back, left, right is how we're starting. It's very cool that this would be a way you solve the puzzle. Back, left, right. You could actually just wander around. Probably now if they did this, they would have made it like a randomized thing. I'm actually surprised they didn't do that, but maybe it would have been tough to get the text right or something. Alright, left, right, back. Like in Monkey Island 2, they did do that. They kind of randomized the forest on Dinky Island. Well, not that it was randomized, but you had to solve the puzzles in order to get there. Alright, what are our last directions here? Right, left, back. Right, left, back. And guess where we end up? Turns out it was correct. How cool is that? Alright, there's some great jokes here we gotta see. Got the TMs, of course. Would-be pirates. There are other pirates and go easy on the treasure. So you thought this was a big trial and a big thing, and now you get the feeling that paid for by the Melee Island Chamber of Commerce. I love it. Now you start to get the feeling that the pirate leaders are sort of messing with you. They just want the idol, and they're kind of using you, and they're kind of entertaining themselves by making you go get this stupid thing. Of course, it's a dramatic irony because if you go talk to the pirate leader, Skybrush will be, really excited. He'll be really excited about this T-shirt, not my size, but a nice one nonetheless. So he will go. If you talk to the pirate leaders, he'll be very excited about it, and they'll kind of patronize him. So there's some dramatic irony where you kind of feel like these, Guybrush is naive, they're using him, but he doesn't know that. So that's great. And now my T-shirt says, "I found the treasure of Melee Island," and all I got with the stupid T-shirt. That is too great. All right, now we head to Smirk's. Captain Smirk. To get trained for sword fighting, and if you talk to the pirate leaders, they'll tell you should probably be trained. So here is a kind of puzzle that's very common in other adventure games. It's really annoying. I'm obviously trying to go do this, but I can't because there's just some arbitrary, even unthematic obstacle in my way in this case. The funny thing is a red herring. So once again, Monkey Island is kind of a parody of other adventure games in that this kind of puzzle that's the normal puzzle, the typical puzzle in adventure games, an arbitrary barrier to you progressing that has nothing to do with the game otherwise. And you just have to figure out some stupid puzzle. Well, they kind of put that in there, but they make it funny by actually making the object you have to give them a red herring. A red herring, being the trope red herring. So it's really funny, and of course that was supposed to be George Lucas, who they showed you. All right, Captain Smirk. So, not counting the Swordmaster, you talk to anybody, they'll talk about how great the Swordmaster is. This is kind of a funny little thing where you just have to be persistent. Not really a puzzle exactly, but not a bad little piece of dialogue. This guy really has a lot of personality, and once again, you have an experience with him. You have a relationship with him, in a sense, so he's much more than a puzzle. New games need to have that. Grim Fandango really had that. Monkey Island 2 had that sometimes, but not all the time. Monkey Island 3 kind of lacked that a lot. Alright, here's my sword. Alright, and so this is mostly just a fun... This is another fun reward for what you've done. There's tons of this in this game. I can see this is going to take some special measures. I love how they just insult you as a player. Alright, and this is all kind of silly. I mean, this guy, for 30 pieces of 8, really does a lot for you. But at the same time, you get the sense a lot in Monkey Island that everybody's kind of using you, that Guybrush is really naive. I guess you could go even further and you could say there's a sense in which, we are using him for our entertainment, and it's almost, that's probably looking a bit too deep into it. So you're going to get the next big set of puzzles that are more than inventory dialogue puzzles, and it's sword fighting. I don't know who came up with this, but what a genius. I don't know if you guys stole the idea from somewhere. Man, I tell you what, I am not big into the special editions. I think all the artwork's great, but I don't like how there's out loud dialogue. This was a really hilarious game, and the comic timing was written with the the text in mind, not voices in mind. I mean, I don't know if they not that they literally thought about what the voices, what the timing is because of the text, but they just wrote that knowing that's what it was going to be. So to me, a lot of the jokes don't come across nearly as funny in the special editions when they're spoken out loud, and it doesn't get just the right timing. You can tell they do put some pauses in between dialogue, and it's just right. To me, it comes across a little funnier when you're reading it yourself. Apparently, this is a great joke. I can't help but feel like I've been ripped off. I'm sure you're feeling something similar. That's not the last joke that they'll have about the game and how it's ridiculous that we're paying for it and things. Of course, the next thing is the insult sword fighting. I'll probably just play through this as fast as I can. I'll show you a sword fight or two. I always stand here, by the way. It seems to get people to you the fastest. I'll probably play through these as fast as I can, and then cut past it so you won't have to watch all these. It's fun to just do the sword fights, and when I first played the game I did that. Of course, now when I play through it, I do it as fast as possible. I need them to teach me more insults, so I just let them kind of take control by doing a bad insult at first. It's like, alright, that's a new one. I don't have the right answer, so that's good. Hopefully he provides me with one more new one here. There we go. That's awesome. So he beats me, that's fine. These guys are nice guys. None of them are going to kill you. So if I just continue to wait, I'll show you one more. So the next, you learn these insults, and then you have to then use the insults in order to learn the comeback, and you get really frustrated when these guys are really idiotic about it. Let's see. I'm not going to take your insolence sitting down. Alright, so he taught me one answer at least. Hopefully he teaches me another new one. Nope. Of course, I don't know the answer to that either. So maybe he'll teach me one more new one. Come on. There we go. So he wins, and that's it. At this point, you got to learn all the insults. I'll cut to the end by the time you know enough of them. Okay, so I've put in the work, figured out 15 of the 16 insults that are in this game. Couldn't get anybody to say to me that their last battle ended with they got these scars on his face from a mighty struggle or whatever. So, of course, inevitably that'll be the first insult that the Swordmaster uses. I don't know. Nobody knows the whereabouts of her secret hideout. Nobody except me. So there's two parts of this puzzle. You gotta learn the insults. The insults are a great set of puzzles, and once again, they go so much far beyond the dialogue inventory puzzles. You want as few of those as possible to have a great adventure game. Alright, here is another great puzzle. He leaves. He's actually going to her house, and you can follow her. Another puzzle, really clever. It's not about using this item with that item or following this certain dialogue tree. So come on, guys, I need you to have tons of those kinds of puzzles. Those new Monkey Island games really didn't have a whole lot of those. To be honest, I didn't play all the way through them, but yeah, we want to follow this guy out. What a cool puzzle, and it's really exciting the first time you do it, and it's something that makes sense. Not just moving parts, it doesn't feel like, but it feels like it does really draw you into what you're doing. Alright, so we'll go up here, and you can kind of see him going into the fork. They make sure not to bring in anybody else so as not to confuse you. How cool. How cool. So this is I guess this is the one puzzle the storekeeper is involved in. Following. It's interesting that they picked this guy of all guys. I don't know. I guess you would think maybe a man of low moral fiber or something. Maybe they just thought it was funny to have the scene where he's talking to the Swordmaster. What? Really clever, though. Oh, Guybrush hides behind the tree. Very smart. What does this sign say, anyway? Danger, open ravine. Oh, okay. Pretty cool. And so we run into the Swordmaster, and we already know it's a woman, because of Captain Smirk. He called her Carla, so it's very cool. It's funny, it turns out it's, your lost baby. That's great. He goes the back way. Alright, so the Swordmaster, the big battle. There's been a lot of build-up because you really have to work hard to get all those insults, even though it's great and the insults are hilarious. I really love the way this puzzle works, how it's the same responses that you've learned but different insults. Another Indiana Jones reference. I love this line too. Oh, not that one. Crap, I hope I didn't miss it. Of course she... Oh, okay, she got me. I love this line right here. Ah! Alright, sorry. Gee, you're smart. I can tell by the sarcastic expression on your face that you've been fully trained by Captain Smirk. That's the one. I love it. Alright. Oh. I'm sorry, I missed her. What'd she say? I love how you can make them repeat it and they don't mind. I've got the courage and skill of a master swordsman. Alright, so she actually didn't use that right away. I'd be in real trouble if you ever used them. You actually had to beat her 5 times. So these, like I said, these are different insults that you have your same responses to. Just genius. Just genius. great puzzles that they're not necessarily hard, but they're just smart puzzles. Once again, I'm talking, so I'm missing what she's saying. Every word you say to me is stupid. I'm not even sure what the answer to that is. Let's see. Wow, what is the answer to this one? Why do you want to borrow one? 2 minutes. Ever heard of you? I'd be real trouble if you ever use them. Wanted to make sure you'd feel comfortable with me? I guess that was it. I will milk every drop of blood from your body. So, it's cool how it, in the first part when you're learning the insult, it's fun and it's funny and it feels like you're really working at it. But now you really get to look and think about what she's saying and think about, oh, what would be a good insult response to this? So with a dialogue tree, you wouldn't normally think that. So that's a really smart puzzle. Really does good. All right, brag to all your friends about how you beat the Sword Master. Woohoo! That's great. It's another T-shirt, of course. It just says, "I beat the Sword Master." Can I go this way? No, I can't. Oops. Alright. So we'll head out of here. And at this point you think, alright, I'm a pirate. What happens next? Have I beaten the game? Of course you spent a lot more time on it the first time you played than we did here. But now we're going to introduce, we actually totally finished that part of the game, and now we introduce the real thing. And that is genius. That's a genius way to progress a story, is the real plot. So you give them a goal. It doesn't have to be the end goal of the game. And I think I'm getting this from Ron Gilbert. I think he mentioned it in his Monkey Island notes on his blog. You give them the player a clear goal. It doesn't have to be the final goal. But you give them that, and they chase hard after that, and then it's actually very cool if you give them a different goal later, and kind of a higher stakes goal. Really progression, reward, even what the next puzzle is now, what the place where the plot goes is actually a reward. So that's very cool. Very good game design. That's why this is the best. Alright, I'll go get a ship and crew and go rescue her. Alright, you gotta go to Monkey Island. Alright, ship and crew. And he gives you the note to show everybody. Alright, so why don't we go ahead and head right away and get 2 of our crew members. That's a very cool thing, how you actually have to think through, who are the characters I've met? I can try to convince the lookout, I could talk to the cook, all the other pirates are gone, but hey, how about Carla? She could be helpful. You don't know what a disaster the voyage is going to be, so you're trying to think of really good crew members. Very cool. And these are puzzles that, the second, third, 10th, 1000th time you play this game, you don't think about them as much because you just know the answer. But the first time, it's actually a very cool thought process to think through, who on this island should I be getting? So, you already have the t-shirt. Alright, so she's convinced. It's funny how they change. They seem so convinced that this looks bad, very bad, that they're really going to help you, but I'll meet you at the dock, they make it really simple. So now we gotta leave again, kind of a pain. We gotta do this walk, but the first time you play, it's not a pain. It's very cool. You really feel like you're on a journey. You keep thinking, the men of low moral fiber, there's nothing you can do for them. But the people you do need, they don't make the puzzle too convoluted or too unclear. Like, you just talk to them and they come. So the puzzle is just finding the people. Some games might not make it clear that that person is, but you still have to solve some puzzle to get them to come. That's not cool. So here we go. So we see from outside the ship, and now we see, if it wasn't clear before, which it wasn't the first time I played as a little kid, what the heck was happening. But there's no Fester Shine-Dop. It's just LeChuck in costume. So I'm going to try to speed through this, but it's cool. We're getting more of the story and more of who LeChuck is, and You know what I love about is how you actually come into this room, and you even see the ship from the same perspective later. So it's a cutscene, but it's also feels familiar once you get there. I don't know how much of this stuff those Grossman and Schaefer and Ron did here on purpose, but so many things to make this game great that no other adventure game has all these ingredients together. Alright, so LeChuck doesn't know that you got out. He's kind of an idiot in that way. And you see, you know, he is kind of incompetent in a sense, so we will go up here and get Hook. Now, I'm sorry I didn't show you Hook before. He doesn't have any real puzzle role in the game until this point when you need him for your crew. I remember solving this puzzle, even though I didn't know what a pulley in the middle of a chicken was. For some reason, I felt compelled to use it on this, and that's such a fun little thing. Yep, we're going to talk to Hook. There's a lot of great jokes. You can just have talking to him. Another character whose personality and characterization is much larger than just his role in puzzles, which is always great. I mean, I know I'm a broken record here, but so this guy, I don't know how he got electricity, but I love all the personality of this guy, but I'm gonna skip all that this time, and all that dialogue, and just show it and get out of here real quick. We don't even get to see his routine with his tattoo. Very sad. I'm gonna skip out all this great dialogue. So much great dialogue with this guy. This guy actually is the one guy who, you know, says, "Oh, you know, I really believe in you," for about 5 minutes until you get on the ship with him, of course. But this is just a hilarious puzzle. It's not a puzzle. It's extremely easy, but it's fun. These guys were concerned. The creators of this game were concerned about storytelling and fun and that kind of stuff, not just solving puzzles. And I used to think, I've never made an adventure game, but I used to think the key to making an adventure game is thinking of great puzzles. The best possible game you can come up with in that case is Day of the Tentacle. But the best possible adventure game you can come up with is one that revolves around characters and storytelling, and that's Monkey Island 1 to its core. Monkey Island 2 has some good story, but it doesn't have quite all these elements that I keep championing here. And meanwhile, the puzzles are a lot harder. I think Monkey Island 1 has the right balance of puzzles there. They take some work, you have to try, but they're not too hard. This is great. I just love these sequences where you're not doing that much. It's not that interactive, but it doesn't go to a cutscene. It just looks like the normal game, and it's just a big reward for all the work you've been doing. It's a big payoff, and I think that's a big reason why Monkey Island 3 fans really criticize the game for having a weak ending and a short ending. There just wasn't as much reward in that game. Although the game is hilarious, it's a good game, and the puzzles are very good for the most part. It's a hilarious game. That's the best part. It's just as funny as Monkey Island 1 and 2, but it doesn't. I don't even know what I was saying. Anybody who's still listening to this, you must like this game as much as me. I'm impressed. This is a great line here too. Wow, it works both ways. That's some chicken. I love it. Okay. Alright, so we've got 2 of our crew members, and we need to head. So we actually haven't heard in the game how many crew members we're going to need, but there's 2, and meanwhile we know we need a ship, and we haven't been to this particular location yet. So let's head there now to talk to Stan. Alright, now here's our first major anachronism. There's a grog machine, there's just the whole persona of this guy. Although I guess it is also funny just to think about that your used car salesman personality probably still existed back then. But anyway, Stan, of course, is a classic Monkey Island character. We don't want to talk to him too long here. Basically, we need to figure out that we need credit. But here is an interesting part of the game where you're doing something else that is, let's see, we'll just go to the cheap one. You're doing something else that is not just dealing with inventory and using inventory on things, and some dialogue, but this is a dialogue-based puzzles with Stan, but it's a lot more interesting because it's actually negotiation, and you would never think that you could do that in a video game, especially an adventure game from 1990 or so. Here we go. I know I'm a broken record, but you see the story being sewn into just your normal conversations and the normal gameplay. We're hearing about this ship, and it just sounds made up. But like a lot of these things in this game, it sounds kind of like a joke, but it turns out to be maybe a little more true than it seemed at first. So he's already got one of those. Oh man. Get one on credit, that's what we need to say. So the way that in real life you would really talk and you would really explore these options, this is maybe the place where a nice dialogue puzzle is really appropriate, and so they put it in here. Is it my favorite part of the game? No, but I do think it's an interesting thing, and it's a good part of the game still. It's not a weakness. Alright, so we need to get out of here because we're not going to be able to get to him now. Of course, we've got the nice little trick here where he shows up to the left just as it scrolls past. I love that. Hey, forgot to give me my card. And this compass, this is interesting. An extra strong magnetic compass. That's probably one of the tougher puzzles in the game, is using that compass in LeChuck's room. And that's really your only clue for it, so... that was, I remember, a little frustrating, but but it's funny how few of those kinds of puzzles Monkey Island 1 has. And as you know, a big reason I think it's the best adventure game. All right, so we need to get credit, and we need to get yet another crew member. We don't know that yet, but we're thinking about it. And if you go to the jail and you talk to Otis, he's gonna you show him the note, and he's gonna say, "Sure, I'll be on your crew if you just let me out of here." We're not gonna go through all that this time since we're already at the scum bar and we know what to do. You've got your variety of mugs here. I think that's a very interesting plot thing. How all these guys disappear. They really did so much with so little as far as technology and resources back then. Did some storytelling just by removing the characters. You can talk to the cook. There's a lot of good jokes in there and a lot of encouragement. You can ask him to be on your crew, but he won't. So you have heard a couple people mention that the grog eats right through these mugs. It also would be obvious just from what happens when you fill one up and the cook tells you to get a drink yourself, so you would naturally try that. We'll go ahead and switch. So you talk to Otis and he says he'll free you he'll help you and join your crew if you free him. So that's what we're doing here. This is yet another puzzle that is solved not by just using things and by talking to people, but there's a more creative solution to it. I just absolutely love it. And this is a lot of times a puzzle that takes a couple tries to beat. Maybe the first time you take it and you can't get there in time, then you use 2 mugs, then you realize you're going to have to use a lot of them. So that's totally a good thing. We'll give mug to prisoner. Hey, create a drink. So, whoops, and it frees him. That's a very cool puzzle, I think. Creative, not what you're looking for when you design a board game is not difficulty in puzzles. What you need is creativity, and that's a very creative puzzle. Wow, I haven't even heard his name yet. Usually you would spend a lot of time talking to these guys. There's a lot of interesting things to say. You do not want dialogue. See, when they came out with Knights of the Old Republic and stuff, I thought, oh, that's cool. In other games that have dialogue trees. I'm glad other games are doing that, but they never did as good a job as this game, where you could really come in and talk to Otis a long time, learn a lot about him. There's a lot of fluff flavor, I guess you could say, a lot of flavor text that is funny. It has to be funny, or people aren't going to stick with it. Hey, look. Never gets old. Guybrush is the only person that ever falls for that. Or wait, maybe the guard for in Monkey Island 2 does. Alright, you can talk to that guy over there. He's not important there. Organized looting. So, here we go. Yet another puzzle. Oh. I love it. The pirate board game is the best. The pirate board game is the best genre of board game there is, because of course I have a job, because you get to do all these underhanded things, and you love doing it, and it's very thematic. All right, now we have to. I might not talk here because I really got to pay attention. It's easy to forget how this gets turned. All right, one left, two right. Oh, that's pretty easy. Okay. So here we got another puzzle where it's not about inventory, and it's creativity. It's not hard, and it's an easy puzzle. I'm sorry I'm a broken record, but I really feel very strongly about these, and these games need these creative puzzles. Now, it's not a convoluted abstract puzzle like in the Dig or in Myst, but it is. Oh, good. We can double check our what I remembered. One left, right? Now two right, three left, three right. Yeah. Okay, so it's easy, but it's creative, and you really feel like you're a part of the game, and you're really doing it. You're not just battling against the designer's mind and trying to figure out what he had figured out. Of course, you got to get rid of him, and we already know how to get rid of him. In fact, you may have tried this, even way early in the game, trying to steal the shovel or something like that. So you really know how to get rid of him at this point. And don't touch anything. Alright. The only problem with this is figuring out if you need to pull or push first. Let's do pull. Alright, yeah, that's it. Now push, push. Now we'll pull, pull, pull. Then we'll push, push, oh, push. Yay! Nothing in here but this note. This is the first crime you do, I think, that you really feel bad for. I hereby take liability for the debts of the bearer of this note for any amount up to 5,000 pieces of 8. Of course, the storekeeper's never going to pay Stan that, so I guess we're really scamming Stan, who thinks he's scamming us, so. Alright, I think I'll do a quick jump cut to back to Stan's. In fact, you know what? I think I will just, I will tell you now, of course, what you're doing with Stan is you negotiate, and you have to threaten to leave a lot, and it feels really like you're talking to a used car salesman. I think I'll just jump cut to the end of that conversation, actually. Because there's no reason to see that. I will say there's a lot of good jokes in there that you should go back over if you haven't played the game in a while. Alright, so I just was negotiating with Stan. I actually got him to sell me the ship for 4,000 pieces of 8. I'm actually stunned. I've never done that before. I thought you had to go to 5,000. I think a lot of what helped was I asked about extras, but then I'd say I didn't need that particular piece of junk. So that was pretty quick. This actually is a great puzzle. I realized while I was playing it, because you talk about extras. You make offers and counter offers. You start real low. You kind of each compromise, and you threaten to leave, the walkout. That's the only thing that a car salesman fears, is the walkout. So you use all these tactics that you would actually use, the game you would play with a used car salesman. It's very cool. Of course, here he thinks he's getting you. Everybody thinks this ship is so terrible. And Stan gives you a clue there, all three of them, which you've already assembled them. So we're drawn towards the end of part one. Man, the first time you do this, it's a lot of work, but it's very solvable, and you never get too frustrated, and you have a lot of fun. It's really what makes this the best adventure game. I've showed you a lot of the reasons I love this game. You've probably gotten most of the ideas, but I'm going to keep playing and record the rest of this nonetheless. We might run into some new things on the way. Plus, it's just fun to play through this game. But we're going to go, and we're going to see Stan, and we're going to get some good jokes here at the end. These cutscenes where the dock is like a little zoomed in, I was always a little confused when I was a kid. Is that the same dock or not? But 10 people, he's just so phony all the time, even after he sold it to you. I do think he is kind of legit here when he's saying they have a moment, but then of course we have one of the sails fall and he gets out of there pretty quick. Alright, he gives you this literature, actually has a use. Good old puns. So, you felt accomplished, but then all of a sudden you're going to lose confidence as you see what they're talking about. We're getting paid, and get that thing out of the way. Where's the cabin boy? This isn't going to be as easy as I thought. So, part two. So nice long part one. This is a nice short part two. It's a nice change of pace. I like how they really switch that up. I really appreciate a combination in adventure games of a really long part that takes a lot of work, is very non-linear, and then you move into another part that's nice and short, gives you a faster reward, maybe is easier. This is definitely a pretty easy part in my opinion. All you do is throw everything you have into the pot pretty much. Meanwhile, these guys don't help at all, which I think is just funny. It's a funny game, and adventure games should be funny. I'm not into the real serious ones myself. Well, we've got a ship. It's funny because they were all really concerned when you first talked to them, I mean, about the governor. I'm doomed. Alright, so what do we got in here? Look at. Oh, it's empty. So we're going to start picking stuff up. At this point in the game, you know that's even if it's your first adventure game, you know that's all you do in adventure games is pick up everything because you might need it. Man, I don't think we're going to sorry about that. I don't think we're going to look at all the entries in this book, but it is yet another example of filling out the story in here. And so you start learning about Two Throat, you start learning the history of this ship, which is never really important, but there's just interesting details. I wish Two Throat would stop snoring. Two Throat is really annoying, and you definitely feel that too. It's so cool that you actually meet this guy. We've arrived on Monkey Island. They give you clues in this. What a cool way to give some clues. And it's almost too obvious. So most adventure games make it a little tougher than this, but you don't need to. I'm telling you. Don't make your adventure games too hard. It's fine to make them easy, as long as it still takes a little thinking and a little work to make it happen. Gotta head up and get the Jolly Roger. Whoop. Alright, pick that up. And down the hatch as well. Alright. Alright, there's not as much to say about this part because it's really pretty simple. We need to find a lot of stuff. I can't remember what's in what. Old empty cakes. Okay, I think the wine's in here. There we go. And then over here we got the gunpowder. Gunpowder! I think I'll take some. Alright, and over here we get the cereal. I love it. It's Captain Crunch. It's just so awesome. We open it, and there's a prize inside. Couldn't be simpler. Really couldn't be simpler. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I don't think I've ever figured out for sure things you need. I thought maybe you put gunpowder in the cooking pot. Oh, okay. I need to get that maybe. I know there was a preheat the oven, but it's already on. I don't think I've ever been sure if you needed to add gunpowder. Okay. So we've got a pot for later. Let's go ahead and put our rope in there. We'll even put the gunpowder in the cannon nozzle. And let's see. We still need to get our recipe. This is a lot of the more typical puzzles. You know, there is a lot of inventory puzzles and things here. But at the same time, this recipe is not a standard cinnamon sticks. You've got this recipe where you're kind of filling it out creatively. It's not, you know, monkey blood, you're going to use wine. Squid ink, you're going to use the ink. Human skull pressed, you know, that's pretty clever. So you're going to use the Jolly Roger, of course. So you're entertained by the puzzles. You're not working that hard to beat them. You are just entertained by them. It's very cool. Jolly Roger. Let's see what else we're going to need in here. Can I use my map with the red hot fire yet? Yeah. I love it. Just stays there. That's good. It shouldn't be too hard. There's all kinds of stuff you can throw in here, even a lot of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily need to. But we'll definitely use the ink. Use our fine wine. Use our cinnamon sticks. Let's see, do we need... I did use the gunpowder. Let's see, what am I missing here? Cereal. Oh crap, what did I forget? Sorry about that, folks. I used the gunpowder in the cannon, not the pot, so that's what I'm missing. Alright, I promise you I'll get to some more commentary about the game soon here. There we go. It's very interesting the way they make a lot of non-conventional things about the story in pirating. You're doing sword fighting, but instead of really sword fighting, they keep it very strictly an adventure game instead of having little action sequences by making it about these dialogue. And then in this case, you're sailing, but instead of having some, I don't know, real-time strategy game or something, resource management where you're where you have to sail there, they just make a little puzzle where you fill out a recipe. It's not what you'd expect. Here's Monkey Island, and isn't that the most exciting moment in the game when you finally see it? That's why this is my favorite line in the game when you look at it. This is well worth it. That's so awesome. I just absolutely love that. You can talk to these guys, try to convince them to come, but they just say, let us know when the governor's out. Turns out, of course, that they're right, is one of the funny things. Alright, the governor could take care of herself. But we're going to make it there. What a quick little part, but a really fun part, and a nice break from kind of the long, drawn-out sequence. because now we do get another long drawn-out sequence here with part 3, which is extremely long and has a lot of interesting puzzles to it. Here is Herman Toothrot. He's kind of stupid, extremely annoying. You really do feel the annoyance as he shows up while you're in the middle of trying to solve puzzles. Putting out that fire, someone could get hurt. Oh man. So he's another character where there's not a lot of he's more personality than puzzle, and that's the important thing about that. Another thing that's more personality than puzzle are these notes. How awesome is that? Notes between LeChuck, Herman, and the cannibals. You get a lot. It's all flavor. Not enough flavor in games. Too much. Everything just feels like a puzzle you're solving. You don't feel like you're part of the game because you feel like you're just fighting the designers. So you gotta love that. And we get a new map. Ron Gilbert has said he thinks a good game begins with a good map. Of course, we got our monkey there, who's going to be useful. We've also got our crack. Let's see where we need to go. I'm not as automatic when I get to Monkey Island because it's so much bigger. Why don't we head over to Herman's place, to his fort. I think it's really interesting you only get to half the map. This is really a non-linear part at the same time, though. You really aren't sure what you're doing. I guess that is in contrast to the first part when you've got those 3 trials and then you need your crew and ship. There is a little bit of time where you are kind of clueless, so I guess I can't be totally confident about what I said in that before. But I guess I would say with this game, oh geez, see? Oh, what an annoying character. But he does have some great jokes, and I saw Monkey. He does have some great jokes, and you gotta love that kind of stuff. But he is annoying, and you really see how the other the captain could have killed himself eventually from being stuck with him all this time. Let's head down the crack, get some oars. Rope with strong branch. This is kind of an obvious thing where you need the rope. Do I have the other rope? Oh no, that's right. I lost my rope from the ship, so I got to get it from the other guy. We'll head up. We got to find our noteworthy rock in order to solve these puzzles. This is actually a big area, but in some ways there's another note. Decent people are trying to sleep. Oh, there we go. A little bit of story. Alright, there's the rope I need at the end of the riverbed. Oh god, he is so annoying. He's trying to put up a swing. Yeah, it was not like he breaks the 4th wall. Who are you talking to? Why the people watching, of course. Alright, Toothrot is annoying, but he has some great jokes too. Whoo boy. Where is that noteworthy rock? Let's check out the beach. There's a bottle. I don't think that's even used for anything, is it? Malicious tossing of your oars into the chasm. Oh man. I'm even surprised as I do the commentary. A lot of these ideas I'm sharing with you I really had. You're braver than you look. Alright, I'm not gonna. I do love this joke, so I will say that. What pants? I'm really impressed. All these ideas about the puzzles and the way they integrate the story is actually even more than I thought when I decided to go do some commentary about this. Um, Here we go, LeChuck's lair. We're getting there. Do not enter the monkey head. Alright, ooh, here we go. Oh my gosh, Herman. Jeez, he is annoying. Alright. The nose would be nice to get in there, but we can't. But hey, there you go. Back to the voodoo lady, who I forgot to talk to, by the way. You can talk to her after Elaine's kidnapped, and she'll give you a little more detail. But Elaine, but you know, the voodoo lady tells you about the monkey head, and now you're seeing it, and it's really exciting to see that stuff. Man, those birds are so cool over there. There's our noteworthy rock. They're actually right next to where we're going to use it. And you worshiping in front of the sacred monkey idol. I love passive-aggressive notes between all these guys. Who comes up with those kind of ideas? It's amazing. This game is so about story. It's so about the extras. It's about flavor. It's not about puzzles. Another one. Of course, this is at least a clue. A clue to what we need to do with this. Oops. With this. Really? What? Which way do I need to do this? I won't push. There we go. I think that's one of the ways we need to go. That's another cool puzzle. It's kind of similar to a more abstract puzzle, but it's not abstract at all, and it makes sense, and it's easy. Like I said, you don't need hard puzzles. You just need ones that you actually have to think about it. Oh my gosh, go away. Whatever. You can get some more of the story from Herman, just like you can talking to those guys in the scum bar, and that's very cool. Alright, what happens if we push this as is? This is a very cool part of the game. Yes. Alright, you can totally hit that ship, too. I usually do that. I won't do it here to waste everybody's time, but it's really fun to hit the ship since everyone basically mutinied. I'd highly recommend it. I will do this puzzle, too. Man, that's very strange. Alright, that is a straight criticism of Sierra games, and dude, those games really are like that. I mean, you just... I remember playing Police Quest, which is actually my favorite Sierra game, the original Police Quest, and if you get in your car without walking around it and typing inspect car, then you die. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to bother to move that to hit the ship. It's optional, but it's very satisfying to do from those mutinying crew. They give you clues about that. That's very cool. Alright, where are we headed? Let's go down. Let's get our rope. So the reason we're doing we actually still don't have too clear of a goal here, but it is obvious that you need to go, I mean, in order to save Elaine, in so much as that's our goal, we can use, we know that we need to get to that giant monkey head. We know that's his underground lair. It said on the sign. What happened to my spyglass? Oh, there it is. Let's see, use... let's see. Oh, use flint. There we go. Yeah, if you look at that rock, you can see that it's actually flint. Cool. It's good to get that going. It's going to take us over here. And we get our rope. So we know we need to get inside the giant monkey head. So there is some direction there. And there's also just some obvious goals. Now, I guess I will have to criticize Ron and the crew a little bit for not sticking to Ron's, because that's Ron's rule, that you need to have that clear goal. But hey, I mean, there's enough of a sense that Now, oh yeah, obviously if I get these ores, I can explore some more. So there's, I guess, an exploration sense with this. And you start feeding that monkey bananas, you get the idea like, oh, it would be good to feed him more bananas. There's a sense there's something going on, but it's not totally clear. I would like a little more clarity. Because why am I feeding that monkey bananas? You really find out almost on accident that he's going to pull that nose for you. Alright, let's get the ores, though. We still don't have, even with the bananas from the tree, we still don't have enough bananas to get that monkey to follow us, so we will have to head up to the cannibal's place to get that. Alright, a couple more bananas. So, now we can use the ores with our boat. Access a new part of the map. Yep, we know, Guybrush. So, at the very least, what you're doing here is you're finding, you're exploring, and that's not a bad thing at all. It's nice. It's funny how huge Monkey Island is compared to Melee Island, and it's a big map, but really there's just one or two things in each location, so they're really making it more about the atmosphere once again. They could easily put all this stuff next to each other, but you want the feel that you're on this big island. Alright, we're not going to hear from Herman anymore, are we? Good. Let's head out, check out the cannibal's place. Starts to get a little scary here. Not really, but love the cannibals. Main thing we need here is simply the bananas. Alright, so they're going to talk to me. I'm going to try to spin through this as much as possible. This is some of the funniest dialogue. I'll give you anything. Pass on to the great monkey. That's an important clue. Let's see if we can get out of here. Alright. A lot of the funniest dialogue in a game is with these guys, and it's almost the most fun part of the game is your interactions with them. They're great. They want to eat you, but they're concerned about their health. And sheesh, another memo. Monkey head too. So it's banana picker and a monkey head. Of course, we have all the bananas we need. This is a nice, easy puzzle here. Oh, whoops. Pick up loose board. We can get out of here. The great thing, I don't know if you haven't necessarily, if you solve that, how to please these guys really quick, I will say it's very fun to just go back and get captured again because their security goes up and up and up, and it gets, just silly and funny. But man, those are some great characters. Just a lot of fun. So at this point we got a banana. We can get that monkey. I guess playing this, I'm not... this is the greatest adventure game of all time, and I think I've proved it thoroughly already. But I'm not as impressed with the puzzles in this part as I am in part 1 looking back, just because there is a little bit... I'm not clear... I mean, why am I... I guess I should... I have bananas and the monkey eats them, so I should give them to him. But otherwise, it's not totally clear. I know, I guess a smart player in a seasoned adventure gamer can definitely figure out, oh, the monkey is, he could pull the nose for me, but, how do I know that giving him a banana is what's going to cause that to happen? But it's not bad. I mean, compared to any other game, even a lot of some of the Monkey Island 2 puzzles, it's pretty tame. And it's not bad at all. And the other thing is that it's later in the game where you could be expected to think through some of these things a little more. Alright, come on, where are you going? There we go. So we're going to give him, even just going to use the G key to do this. Lots of bananas for this guy. Of course, you can kind of do these one at a time, or as you find them, and that's what you tend to do, and you see that, okay, if I get enough bananas, something is going to happen. But it's not, it's not the greatest puzzle ever, but it's fine. I don't know why Herman wouldn't help me, or why I wouldn't ask him. Alright, so let's see if he follows us to the giant monkey head. Yep, he is. He's our buddy now. He's our one friend in this game, is this monkey. Everybody else is really pretty much against you, except for him and Elaine. Alright, let's pull the nose. That gives the monkey the idea of what to do. That's actually pretty smart. It is a good payoff, and it is a really smart puzzle, I have to say. This is a little generic. We know, I guess once you've been captured by them, you do know you need something, but why would it be this? I have no idea. You really have no idea how to get into the giant monkey head. Although you do see the giant ear. It's the second largest ear I've ever seen. Sam and Max cameo, nice. Usually you just see Max, to see Sam and Max, that's nice. Alright, so I might do a jump cut back up to the cannibals here to make friends with them. Might do a few more jump cuts for the rest of the game. Alright, I've made it back to the cannibals' place. All you gotta do is walk over to the left, and then they show back up. Pretty cool. We should just eat him right now. You're like right in danger of dying here. Let's try giving them something again. Now we give them the wimpy idol. This is kind of a funny joke. You think they're gonna catch you. But no, they're just dumb. Alright, very cool. So now we're buddies. We're gonna be even better buddies soon. And those notes did give us a nice clue with the banana picker that we could probably trade this with Herman, and that's done right away. So this is more of a typical adventure game puzzle, but it's not a bad puzzle where you're trading for something. Some of these games have way too much trading. I don't mind just doing it once. That's fine. There's our giant cotton swab. I'm going to do another jump cut back down to the giant monkey head. Okay, so I actually forgot that going to the monkey head isn't going to do us any good. Now, you would probably do that the first time you played, and you'd get lost and things. But we're not going to do that this time. You need some help. These guys are the guys who can finally give you an idea about what you're really going to accomplish in this part to save Elaine. I'm looking for somebody. So now, after solving some kind of tougher puzzles for this game, then we go to get back into the story. These guys can't stand LeChuck either. In fact, they talk about how they had the tourism business that he's ruining, which is great. Use it on LeChuck, we can't. He stole the rare root. So they've got a problem. They need this root. That's pretty good. He's got it somewhere in a huge system of catacombs, in his place. Oh, it's complicated. So, the thing is, you're going to need their help, and you need the head of the navigator to get in there. And we got to talk through this. I love this. It's a head. Alright. So, it's a problem. And this is kind of a tough puzzle, and it's kind of annoying because you just would have to try different things. But at least it's a pun. We've got a leaflet called How to Get Ahead in Navigating, so that's kind of a tough puzzle, I think, but at least the solution is hilarious. We could give them our head and use these instructions to get ourselves a new one. That is awesome. Alright, so you get the head of the navigator. So now we know our mission. It's to go down and get a root. Get a root hidden in LeChuck's lair. Pretty cool. Then we can kill LeChuck. I think he likes you. Nice. Oh. Alright, now I will do a jump cut down to the giant monkey head. Alright, so here I am at the giant monkey head. Of course, when this game first came out, these weren't pictures. They was just text. So you didn't really know what the key looked like. Oh, actually, it tells you. It looks like a giant cotton swab, so that's good. But it's easy anyway because this is a separate object. This was great. It's like of all these specialized animations they could have done for this game, they had to choose, very carefully because they only had so much memory, and they chose that. It's awesome. Of course, one of the best lines in the game comes from looking at the mushrooms. I had a feeling that in hell there would be mushrooms. Alright, so let's use the old navigator. Here is another puzzle. It's been a little while, but it's our next really creative puzzle in the game, where they tell you he has this great sense of direction. Sometimes it's a little hard to see what you're doing, but this will be random, and you'll get lost if you don't use him. But with him, he can show you the way, and you just kind of follow where his head points. It's very cool. He's still pointing me this way. Alright. He wants me to go to the right. Alright, so basically you follow him around. He takes you some pretty random places. Sometimes you go back right where you came from, and it takes you somewhere different. I'm just going to do a jump cut here to reaching LeChuck's ship. Alright, so we made it to the ship. Of course, that sequence is really reminiscent of the fork, and traveling around, either following the storekeeper or even following the map. So that's cool that they do multiple sequences. It's kind of similar, I guess, to the helmet thing, and but it's kind of an equal difficulty. But it's kind of cool that you kind of figure out that's what you're doing. I always like to do that first to realize, like, oh wait, I need something here. So the cannibals told us about this magical necklace that makes this guy invisible to ghosts. So we're going to use it. It's going to be that's a lot of fun. One of the most fun things in the game is the creepiness of walking around in LeChuck's ship. You do have to solve a little dialogue puzzle. That's kind of funny. I mean, it's not it's nothing special really. Basically, you just need to threaten to drop kick him. Drop kick him into the lava, and he gives it to you. There's probably some other paths that'll get you there too. All right. So it's very cool. It's just cool. This is such an exciting part the first time you play this game, especially as a kid. You feel so scared, like something's going to happen. Bam! Oh yeah. Alright. So here we are on LeChuck's ship, the belly of the beast. I'll say again that it is just so cool that you can actually, let's go to LeChuck's place first. That in the very beginning of the game, you saw these cutscenes where you saw outside the ship, and then you even saw in this room, and it seemed very distant, and it was very far away from Guybrush, but now you're here. What a cool feeling that is. And very cool for them to do that. Like I mentioned earlier in the commentary, this is one of the harder puzzles in the game, but it does make sense. I mean, it's nothing crazy about it. We've got our ghost key. Let's get around here. go down the stairs. This is like a whole little, basically a part, self-contained within itself, so you could kind of compare it to the ship, the other ship you're on. There's a lot of cool reflection and symmetry in this game, like I said, with going through the catacombs and different things like that. Let's see. Ghost key is going to get me in here? I can't remember, but this is a very self-contained, shorter part, just like when we're on our ship. Let's see, can we get in here? Did that work? Okay. Yeah, open and close it. Alright, so... was there nothing in here? Oh, we just walk there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I got a little confused. Okay, but we got some stuff to do first. But yeah, it's very... what a cool symmetry, and just what a... another part of storytelling is just those kinds of chiasm, whatever that is, and those kinds of things. This is a nice, easy puzzle. Where, okay, a nice long extended part followed by a short part in the ship, and then another long extended part also with exploring some kind of mazes, and then the ship again. So this rat's already dead, so we don't have to worry about killing it. No warning message necessary. These puzzles, are a little more typical, but they're totally fun. Let's walk over here, pick up some grease so we can get in that other door. Really pretty simple set of puzzles here, so. But just the ambiance is cool. The way the artwork is, gotta love the artwork in this this whole game, but especially on this ship. Really feels like you're doing something crazy. More inventory. Nice. Alright, so we made really quick work of this part. Oh, whoops. Sorry about that. We can use tools with the glowing crate. It's gonna get us in. Alright, let's look at. Just grab this old root and be on the way. Very nice. So we're getting somewhere. Now, I guess I'd want to talk at this point a little about the story. So, think about how simple this game was. You want to be a pirate, and you start to hear about the governor, and you start to fall in love. You finish your quests, and just at that moment, she's kidnapped. So you do some work, you head to Monkey Island, you get here, and you're getting to the point so you can take down LeChuck, this guy you've been learning about the whole game. And that's it. That's as simple as the story is. Now, I love Grim Fandango, so there is a place for a more complex story, and Grim Fandango's story is just plain awesome. But you don't need that, and in fact, that's not, when you talk about storytelling in games, it doesn't just mean the plot, but it means a lot of the things we've been talking about here. It means, mixing it up for us, the three-headed monkey. It means a lot more than that. It means the way you tell the story within the game, especially. And it means the way that you do not pull the player away from Guybrush or whatever, the protagonist, and instead you really keep them involved and feel identified with him by not making the puzzles too convoluted, things like that. The little touches like making him totally generic, no background story, having a lot of the same responses we would have. Vanilla ice cream, so it's already obvious this is just root beer. And in fact, Elaine will have some later, so it's pretty funny. Alright, some more furious paddling. Yep. Love that Bob is actually scared. Alright. Melee Island. Marrying them. This is really how you feel. What? They're back on mainland Ireland? It was kind of cool that that trick was there and you didn't use it, but now it is being used. Feels like, they put it there on purpose. Hey, there's my crew. Usually I sink them and they don't make it here, so. Hi, Bob. How do they know Bob? How did you get in here without using your head? See-through shade. With head's 3 foot. Yeah, we're out of sunscreen. So that was certainly easier than the trip to Monkey Island. Okay, so there's... Alright, we gotta get to the church. I've been so excited about getting sunscreen. Okay. Man, I haven't seen that dialogue in a long time because I usually sync them. So Ron Gilbert has said that he designed the end here to basically just be a reward for the players, and there's some fun dialogue you can have that I won't go into. But it is a reward. It's a really fun reward that you feel like, yes, I've really done it. We'll go ahead. You just get some nice, fun kills of ghosts. Let's see. We'll just keep skipping by. Now there is a point. It's interesting. It's kind of hilarious, but there's a point to which you feel like this whole game was pointless. It kind of reminds me, I guess, of Office Space or probably a lot of other movies where it's like, okay, we just went through all this work and apparently none of it matters. Another one would be good old the Coen Brothers film, bowling comedy, whatever it's called, with the dude, where it's like all this stuff didn't even matter because first of all, Elaine, they came back to Mainland Island. Elaine was going to take care of herself. Plus, you're going to lose your root beer anyway. So, and you end up killing him just with the grog, with the root beer from Stan's. So, it's just great. I think it's actually hilarious. It's just a funny part. I guess it's kind of has it's a very postmodern kind of story, and I love that in Office Space too. One of my favorite comedies. How they went through this whole scheme, then the building burns down, so it just didn't matter anyway. So here we learn about this, and we see how LeChuck really is incompetent. This is just basically an extended cutscene that you get to interact with. It's a lot of fun just to see who this is. Monkeys! It's so confusing. Anyway, that's just how Monkey Island works. They don't give you an FMV. It's in-game play. You get to interact. You get to keep talking. It would only work if it's all fun and funny, and LeChuck and Guybrush just seem more similar in here. Here we go. Crap. They do not make this too hard. It's very cool. Let's see. I think usually it takes a couple times to try to get to Stan's. Whoop. This is just, even though you're getting punched in the face, it's still kind of a reward, and it's fun, and there's a lot of new animations, and I love a game where you kind of go back to where you started to. Grim Fandango does that as well, and I think that's very cool. Stan's back. If you haven't played a lot of adventure games and you want to know some other games that do this the best, it really is Monkey Island 2, Day of the Tentacle, and Grim Fandango. None of them do it quite as well as this one, but they do a pretty decent job. I mean, they're great games, actually. I absolutely love them. I don't think we'll have time to use the root beer right away. Oh yeah, we do. So what an it's the easiest puzzle in the game, of course. Keep it real simple, and that's it. That's Monkey Island, and you still get to enjoy this. Gotta love how they do the slow mo replay and the blimp cam or whatever. Once again, I just want to thank LucasArts. I want to thank Ron Gilbert, Tim Schafer, Dave Grossman, the artists, musicians, other programmers, everybody who worked on this game. Greatest game ever. I'm sorry, fans of Monkey Island 2 and Day of the Tentacle and Grim Fandango. I'm fans of those games too, especially Grim Fandango. But it's doesn't quite match up, and it's for the reason I mentioned. A lot of people just design board games the wrong way. They make puzzles too hard, and they make puzzles that make you feel like you're fighting the game, and so you're out of it. It tells the story. This game does through the gameplay, through the dialogue. Some of it you can miss if you don't explore, so they give a nice sense of exploration. And the puzzles that there are, even though they're not hard, they're very creative. And there's not just use this item with this item. There's way too much of that in Indiana Jones games and things like that. This is the game that does it right. And if anybody at Double Fine Production ever watches this video, I hope that you take these suggestions to heart and understand why Monkey Island is really the completely forgot about Herman Toothrow. I wonder why my friend has gone to. See, I forgot about this because I usually I usually sink our ship before we leave, so you end up actually seeing your crew instead. Here's another great line. Never pay more than $20 for a computer game. That is absolutely great. Oh man. Once again, thanks to everybody at LucasArts for making this game my favorite game. I absolutely love it. Really appreciate it. Really looking forward to this game from Double Fine. I didn't personally feel like I needed the special editions, and I wasn't too into either Escape from Monkey Island or Tales of Monkey Island. Really looking forward to a game straight from Tim Schafer and Ron Gilbert. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for watching. I'm really impressed. Please leave a comment if you did watch the whole thing, so that I know that someone actually did. That's absolutely crazy. Thanks a lot, everybody.